The comment was that there are certain points where the system becomes very, very vulnerable, that there are these kind of deficiencies become so pronounced. And this gentleman was saying he thinks this is one of those times. Do I agree? And if so, what are some of those pressure points that might be applied? I do agree. I actually feel this is a great time for us, that this is a very hopeful period, believe it or not. If you look at the pace of the revelations, obviously the Edward Snowden thing was very important. Before that, the WikiLeaks stuff, Dianne Feinstein, who really was a card-carrying member of the military-industrial complex, speaking out against the CIA abuses. Senator Grassley, a Republican, who some people say it's because he's a Republican, there's a Democratic candidate, but I think he's always been reasonably outspoken. He's been challenging the FBI about whether they're being candid. He wrote a very tough letter to them. Democratic Congressman Keating from Massachusetts did the same. So I think that on these civil liberties issues, these privacy issues, we can really come together. It's not really a left-right thing. And in fact, one of the frustrating things for me is to see how this country's always divided between left and right, and it's always, you know, they sort of split everybody, and then all the elections are close, and they use these hot-button things to get people, usually their emotional, social issues, to get them people all worked up, and then that sort of tips the balance. The truth is that the 1% is really, you know, 1/10 or 1/100th of 1%. It's a very small group of people. And within them, there are some actually very fine people who don't like what's happening. So if you actually take the sort of bad people within the 1/100th of 1% or something, they actually are vulnerable because there are a lot of us and there are very few of them. And just understanding who they are and how they operate, they operate in the shadows. It's very important that however they're able to influence someone like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or Hillary or any of these people is not known. It's not understood. How does that work? What's that mechanism? One of the things I mention to people is, and I'm sorry I'm going on here because I'm sure there are many more questions, but one of the things that always strikes me is, they say, why does Obama do this or why doesn't he do that? Well, I mean, this guy was an Illinois state senator 6 years before he was president. I mean, he didn't know much. I mean, he's intelligent, a constitutional law professor. They play all that up. But what did he really know about any of these things? Even on constitutional law, he hasn't acted like a constitutional law professor. And the problem is, they always say the president's getting his briefing. And my question is, well, who's briefing him? Who are they? We never hear that, and they, a bunch of guys with crew cuts come in and say, Mr. President, here are your options. There's this and there's that. We can go into Syria and bomb a little, or we can go into Syria and bomb a lot. Which one would you prefer? So the whole thing's kind of rigged to get outcomes that these constituencies within the government want. But I think that I think that this area of rights and the clampdown in Boston, I hear people all over the so-called political spectrum being upset about that. That's why I think this Boston story, we need to stay on it. I'm hoping we can raise some more money because we need to put more reporters on that thing and really scramble all over every lead and just stay on it. So I think that itself is probably the biggest one right now.